What's up, guys? It's Lance back with another interview today. We got Jake Stewart. How are you today going today?
I'm doing well, Lance. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. Jake is a former Illinois track and field men's and women's cross country coach. Now is the head coach for women's at Gonzaga, and then he used to run at Iona and was a walk-on and a team captain. So that's pretty cool. So, as you were going into Iona, what was your reason for improvement to become that team captain as a walk-on?
I think the coaches saw that I was really bought into the team. I went back there, a decent high school runner, but I really loved the sport, and I knew going, back there, I would want to be as into the team as I possibly could. And so throughout my time there as an athlete with Mick, the head coach there, I spent a lot of time in the office trying to talk to him about the team, about coaching. I helped out in the office when I could, and I think Mick saw how much I really was dedicated to the group. I wasn't an accomplished runner throughout my time there. I just worked hard and I was as supportive as I could be with the guys on the team, and Nick rewarded me in that sense in naming me a team captain, and that was a big surprise to me when he did it. I still remember where we were at and what was going on when he told me, but it was just how much I really bought into being a part of the team and wanted the team to be successful and wanted my teammates to be successful.
So before your running background at Iona in high school, and if you ran in middle school, so what was that like at high school and if you ran in middle school?
Yeah, Washington, up until recently, really didn't have a middle school program. I grew up around the sport. My dad was a high school coach, so during 8th grade, I ran unofficially for the team. I can say it now, and it's kind of fun, but I would start races as an 8th grader in the Kelso uniform, and my dad would pull me out before the finish line, which not a lot of kids did, but that was really the only running I did in middle school. And then 9th grade, I was officially on the team. In 7th grade, I played football. I was going to do something. I played basketball all throughout middle school and high school. But just to sit around and not do anything in 7th grade wasn't going to be an option. So I played football in 7th grade. 8th grade, I ran and dropped out of races. And then 9th grade, I finally was officially on the team. And then all through high school, I ran. And Washington isn't a state that has indoor track either. So I played basketball in the winter and ran, in track in the spring. And really, I struggled a lot of high school. I hit a big growth spurt right before my senior year. I didn't break 5 minutes for the mile until the first mile my senior year of my first 2-mile race, which kind of speaks to how late of a bloomer I was. I remember in the race I went through the first mile in 4:54 or something like that. And I was like, oh crap, I haven't been here before, and it was kind of a big breakthrough there, but. I grew a bunch my junior to senior year. I was just kind of a plodder until that point, and then by the time my senior track season rolled around, I got a lot better and had a chance to run at the college level.
Going into coaching, what made you decide to coach?
I'm like you, Lance. I grew up around it, and I went on every trip I could. I was on the bus with my dad's high school team as often as I could. From about the time of first grade to the time I graduated high school, I didn't miss a Kelso High cross country or track meet. I loved it. I loved being around it. I loved, going to meets and knowing the score. And, my dad used to always score out dual meets and track on little note cards, and I for a long time kept all those note cards because that was such a big part of my life growing up. So I knew I was going to coach something. Funny enough, my high school basketball coach was my cousin, so I was around coaches all the time. I knew I was going to coach basketball or or track and cross country. And, because I ran, at the college level, it kind of just happened to go that route. And then some things happened while I was a student to kind of push me towards the college part of coaching versus high school. And it worked out.
So, how do you coach different types of runners? Like you have sprinters, hurdlers, distance. I know you don't specifically coach all of them. They have certain people for that. But how do you help with different types of them?
Yeah, that's a good question. Gonzaga, we really don't have many athletes outside of distance runners. We have a small sprints group, but we've committed to being totally a distance program. So we're lucky enough to have someone here in our community in Spokane who's volunteered to coach our sprints group. She ran competitively at the University of Utah, and she does a really good job. And I trust them. Like I know what I know, and I know what I don't know, and I don't know much about those other events. So I don't want to. I don't want to get in the way of someone who really knows the sport and knows what they're coaching. But that was one of the things I really enjoyed about Illinois, with Coach Turk and Coach Wheatley when we started out. I was coming into it really not, being around the sport, but not being around throws coaches and sprints coaches the way they were. And I learned a lot from just watching them handle their athletes and, how they, describe what they were trying to get the kids to execute in practice and in races and competitions. So I enjoyed that part of it. I was still learning and still am learning all the time about different stuff, and that was one of the things that I took most away from my time at Illinois was listening to Wheats and listening to Coach Turk coach their athletes, because I hadn't been around that at that level before.
So, how did you transition from Illinois to Gonzaga?
That was a whirlwind transition. We coming to Gonzaga was a really family-oriented decision for us. I'm from the Northwest, and it was really important for my wife and I to get back home to our family. There are some things going on health-wise that I felt like it was important to be here for. And it happened quick. It happened over the course of a few weeks in the summer of 2008. My first day on the job here was like a week before practice started. So I drove out on my own. Brandy and Griffin stayed in Champaign for about a month. So I was out here on my own for a month, and it was the first cross country season was rough. We were just trying to figure everybody out. The team was trying to figure out who I was, and I was trying to figure out where people were at with their training and their careers and things like that. So there was just a lot of patience, a lot of thorough conversations, and I think by the time we got to, I guess, the spring of 2019, we were a lot better because we put a lot of energy into getting to know each other, and them getting comfortable with how I coach and me getting comfortable with how they receive questions and information. So I think that transition is still ongoing. I think especially last year with the big freshman class, and now our camps, there's still things that we're still trying to figure out. So yeah, it's been a quick 2 years for sure.
Obviously you coached Illinois and Gonzaga. What was your favorite part about Illinois, and if you have a favorite part about Gonzaga, what is it?
The thing that I enjoyed most about Illinois was, coming into the program when I did. Coach Turk had just been named, full-time head coach, and it was in this transition period, but it really was a time of change in the program. And that was all on Coach Turk. Coach Turk put so much energy into it and invested himself so much into it that I felt responsible and that to do my best for him. He was totally. He went through a couple of really rough years before that, and I felt going in like, okay, it's my responsibility to do the best job I can for him because he deserves it. And that was something I didn't really fully appreciate until I probably walked away from Illinois. But Illinois was great, and I hear a lot from the guys on the team still, and so some of the relationships that I was able to build, I really don't take for granted. I learned a lot as a coach. I was in an environment where I had to learn a lot. The Big Ten's really good, and that was, I missed that part of it. I really missed, the conference and some of the relationships that I formed in the conference. The thing I really enjoy about Gonzaga is it's home. It's a place where we're really comfortable. It's a part of the country we're really comfortable in. And, the program, we can kind of mold the program how we want to, and it's kind of a clean slate for us. And I really like that idea that, the input and how it's going to look is how I want it to look, and that's a new experience for me. So I really like it. We're really happy here, and it's been a lot of fun so far.
What's it like out there, actually?
It's Lance, that when you come from central Illinois, and the biggest hill you see is an overpass. You come out here, and the mountains that we have, in our area, the rivers, and like it's pretty nice. It's something that I grew up in, and my wife grew up in, and we probably took us being away for as long as we were. My wife and I were married for 10 years before we got back here, so I was away from the Northwest for a long time, and it took coming back to really appreciate it. Spokane is a good sized city. There's a lot to do, but we can be out in the middle of the woods in 15 minutes. It's a really good place to train. It's just it kind of does a lot for us, in terms of our family and our happiness here for sure.
What is your team culture like out there? I know I asked this for O'Malley and basically every coach I've done, but I just want to get different perspectives on different teams.
Yeah, our team culture, we really try to just make sure everyone understands ultimately what our goals are, and everyone has the ability to get to that goal their own way. We can't force people to be a certain way to ultimately get to a final destination, because personalities don't work that way. We have to be respectful and understand, okay, I think everyone in the program wants success, and we celebrate. We try to really talk about everyone who achieves something. We're going to talk about celebrate. I think that's important. That's kind of the Gonzaga mission. But we do have things we want to achieve as a program, and we make those things clear. But we also appreciate everyone getting to that ultimate goal in their own way. A fifth-year senior is going to get there in a different way than a true freshman, but we're all working towards the same thing. So we respect that, and we talk about it, and we recognize it. And it's kind of unique. We have a lot of different bodies and a lot of different personalities on the team, and it's fun to see all of those come together and work towards a similar goal.
How has your dad influenced your coaching and just like everything you've done?
Oh, everything. I mean, that's a really good question and a really tough question for me, Lance, because I don't know, ultimately how I can really describe the impact he had on me professionally. Like, to a certain point in my career, I talked to him every day, and it was never really about training. It was handling people. And, the quote that he told me one time, it was completely off the cuff, and when I was coaching down at Texas at Lamar, it was like on a Friday night or a Saturday morning of a conference meeting. And I called him up, and he's like, you have to keep in mind that, this is not an athletic endeavor. This is a relationship endeavor, and you can't lose sight of that. And just, that's something that I think I'm still growing into, making sure that the energy we're putting into relationships and getting to know people and know how they work and what they're comfortable with is taken into account. It's just not showing up at a track or a park to do a workout. It's understanding who you're coaching and what they need. And I'm trying to get better at that. I still, to this day, I'm trying to get better at that. But Dad was, it's tough to really say, fairly, because, he was someone in my life, my coaching life, that I talk to every day and still think about every day. So he was pretty impactful.
What are the high school runners transition to college? Like, how would you give them advice?
I think that's a really good question. A lot of high school kids are coming into college having been the best guys or women on their team. And very few transition to being the best on their college team. The biggest thing that you can do going into a college environment is just understand the patience that you're going to have, almost daily, at practice and racing, because it is hard. It's really hard to make the transition. On the women's side, cross country, you bump up a little bit from 3 miles or 5K to 6K, so racing can come to you a little bit quicker. But on the men's side, to go from 3 miles or 5K to 8K and 10K, there's an adjustment to that. If you just trust yourself, trust the coaching that you're getting and your teammates around you, because all your teammates have gone through it. They're going to be able to tell you the same thing, and they're not just going to tell you, what you want to hear. If it's a good teammate, they'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
But to go in it and be patient, understand that you're going to take some licks here once in a while, but your talent doesn't disappear. What you're capable of doing doesn't disappear. You just have to be able to be good with the patience part of it. And no, it's going to be hard, but ultimately you'll get it figured out, and you'll be surrounded by people who want to help you get it figured out. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. You said, like, a good teammate's going to be honest with you, but what stinks is, like, some people on my team can't take it, but on our top 11 guys, we had this thing called top 11 guys because we had someone that was so close to being number 10. I was battling with him all year. We were all giving each other a hard time after a race or something at practice. Unfortunately, we can't do that with everyone, but, I mean, at least we can encourage them just to be able to run and get out the door.
Yeah, and set a good example and have a good attitude about it. Like that stuff wears off, onto others for sure. I think that's huge. During all this, Lance, what have you worked on the most to improve upon, in your running, both physically and mentally? What's been the big point of emphasis for you?
Can you repeat that question, please? We had a little bit of background noise.
No problem. So throughout this whole quarantine deal, or missing a season, stuff like that, what have you put a lot of energy into improving, both physically and mentally?
Well, I've been doing a lot of sitting on the couch. I'm kidding.
I know that's not true.
But a lot of energy is probably going to be running. Like, I try my best to remember to do everything for this. Practice-wise, sometimes I go. This is mainly my long run days. We have 2 times, at least 30 minutes a week, and I get that in at practice. So sometimes I go like 5 miles in practice. One time I went 6 with my friend, and then we were both dead the next day. So, and then one day I said, "You want to go another 5?" No, it's hydration. But yeah, I would say mainly it's going to be running that I'm putting a lot of my interest into right now. Like, I say this every time. The main reason I started this is to help not only me but other people to get out the door. So
no, and that's some running sometimes is better than no run, and that's to help them out, to get them out the door. I think is really important. I think you're doing a good job of getting information out there to people and talking about, I'm sure, things everybody's kind of struggling with right now. Like it's pretty pretty crazy what's going on.
Yeah. Sorry.
Are you getting any shots up?
Oh, I have. Yes, I am, but not. I'm not playing just basketball as much as I used to. I'm mainly just playing a bunch of different stuff. Like sometimes we do like a slip and slide. Like yesterday, it's like a 25-foot slip and slide. It's super fun. Then we also like play football, hide and seek. We have this game called Camouflage that we play. It's super fun. So we just do a bunch of different stuff. So
good. That's good for you.
Yeah. So thank you so much for doing this for us.
You're welcome. I'm glad to. It's good to see your guys' faces.
I mean, as good as this one, I understand why.
Right. And you must have got your mom. I know your mom did all right for you.
That's not fair.
All right. See ya.
All right. See you, Lance.